Much for staying with us. Our guest is Dr. Daniel Bwala. He's a lawyer, public affairs analyst. And when we were away, when we went on break, Otumba Debo in Abeokuta also had called in. Good morning to you, Otumba.
Good morning, Mr. Yori. Good morning to your guest, Dr. Bwala.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The problem with this labor issue is the government itself. The government is a breaker. The government at national level, at the state level, they are so extravagant. You have what they said, the last caller said. Buying 160 million naira, the breaking pound,
Otumba, could I request that you mute the volume level of your TV set so that you're not...
To the barest minimum, I've reduced it totally.
Okay, because we're just getting that feedback. Please continue. We thought that might be what was causing it. Continue, please.
Let me move out. Move out completely.
Okay.
Are you listening now?
Okay. Yes. Okay, so...
I said the problem is the government itself is too extravagant. It's asking Nigerians to tighten beds. They are not tightening their own beds. 160 million give for National Assembly members, each for National Assembly members. Even later on Sunday, it was reported that the Tinubu government, Tinubu has spent 3.something billion on transportation.
All right. I get the point you're making. Thank you very much for calling in, Otumba. And, Dr. Bwala, in fact, you know, Samuel had called in from Mowe and followed by Otumba Debo in Abeokuta. And the points are similar. In fact, Otumba referenced it. Now, there are, of course, as you know, you being a public affairs analyst, there are the optics of the situation, and this is what people are referring to. They see all those shiny SUVs. They look at how many of them they have to buy, and they look at how they are bought with very little, if any, fuss at all. So the optics, the perception is that we're not in this together. It would be different if we can see that from the presidency to the state legislatures to everywhere, the kind of situation that we have, there's an approximation of it. We're not saying that people should be on the same level of us, but do you see, because there's perception and then there is facts. Of course, it doesn't necessarily work out the way people have seen it and are saying it, that with all those shiny SUVs, which is a very prominent symbol, you now, when it comes to our own now, you are now saying that, in fact, they are even saying that, okay, let's see what over 60,000 naira means. But that's why they went to 497, which, of course, everybody knows is impossible. Would you like to address that particular question where the society is seeing it in one way, which is the perception of it, but the facts are different?
So without sounding like I am advocating for the National Assembly, let me give you a perspective, a little bit of difference between the National Assembly and the Nigerian workers. The Nigerian workers are those who are recruited by civil service and all things being equal are going to be in the job for 35 years. The National Assembly members are elected officers and they will be there only for 4 years, although it is renewable if they get re-elected. But the idea is that their recruitment is for 4 years. So you see the disparity in terms of 35 years in service and 4 years. The second issue is that these are elected officers. So it is the construct of the Constitution that provides that those whom we elect to represent us must be comfortable enough to represent our interests. But there is also an issue that is often misconstrued. Apart from the cars that lawmakers get, the lawmakers' wages are consistent with revenue allocation formula of the federal government. And I think that a senator does not collect more than 1.6 million naira or thereabout as his monthly pay. But people often talked about the probably 36 million for senator and maybe 15 or 20 something for House of Rep. Because in Nigeria, we do not focus on how money is meant to be used and it is being misused by the lawmakers. The 36 million, if that is the exact figure that a senator gets, they are not his money. They are constituency money. A senator is supposed to have a constituency office fully furnished. And the constituency office is supposed to function as the secretariat of the constituency, where there are recruited people who will be working there, and constituency can bring their own reports or whatever it is, the engagement that has to do with their constituency into that office. And I'm saying that because in 2017 or 18, I visited Senator John Thune, who then was the chairman Senate Committee in the U.S. Congress. He is from South Dakota. I visited him in his constituency. We had a meeting in his constituency office. It is like a office, the regular office. He has staff, everything there. And this is where constituency people come and report, this is where they document, take the data of the activities around there. In Nigeria, the ICPC then was established to follow through all the constituency project and constituency administration of funds, so that every single House of Rep member and a senator in Nigeria must justify that the 36 million is given to him goes to that constituency. So there ought to be an administration where, for example, every senator and House of Rep must show a building or office called constituency office. And there should be an independent verification people that will go and see the offices, the staffers there, their payment, and all of the activities, so that whenever that money is paid, EFCC and ICPC can track how that 36 million is being used. But you see, in Nigeria, because even the populace, the constituency people don't even care, some don't even know. So that money goes right into the pocket of that senator. And that is why now people think that a senator gets that much of the money. You see where there is already a problem. Then there is this thing called citizenship engagement. In Nigeria, I don't know whether it is the military construct of, order from above, unitary system, that we have taken our eyes off of anything state and local, and we only focus on the presidential or the presidency. So anything that happens in the local, nobody even cares to probe it. Nobody even cares to interrogate it. This is with respect to senators. So what they are actually entitled to is that salary and probably some of these cars, offices, and the rest. And it is to last for 4 years. So if the Nigerian people have that perspective, and the president has emphasized that he is going to review all of these areas they have done for the House of Rep. Recently, they did the review of the salary of the members of the judicial branch of government. Now, the Nigerian workers fall under the executive branch. The president cannot afford to take his eyes off of the members of his own executive branch, because the lawmakers have taken care of themselves. He has taken care of the judiciary. So the executive branch, which deals with the offices of agencies and ministries and parastatals, where federal workers or state workers are working, must be taken care of. And the president is particularly concerned about that. Personally, I know his own plan for the Nigerian worker is even beyond what the labor union are thinking. But I think that maybe the labor union ought to be realistic. I know at this time, it is just like the case of a father in a family where the family members are hungry. When you come back home and you don't come home with food, there is no English, mathematics, any grammar that you give that the family or the children will listen to. All they want is food on the table. So this is the precarious situation that the Nigerian people are in. That's why it's difficult to persuade them to understand that reform process takes time, and that after a while, the Nigerian workers will be better positioned, where not just the salary, even their working condition has to be taken care of. Their healthcare insurance, their education options and benefits, all of these things will have to be factored into the wage that we are talking about. So, and give and take, if you ask me, the ideal wage bill, minimum wage of Nigerians, ideal, that is in a given situation where the economy is fully in throttle and then everything is working well, the ideal minimum wage should not be less than 250,000. But you see, like I said, desirable, but you have to move from here to that place. And in moving, you have to be considerate with the federal government.
All right.
I give you an example of General Abdul when he was leaving office. He increased the salary of workers. I remember then people were naming their kids and files after Abdul Salam because they felt it was a big breakthrough. He was leaving. As soon as he left, and then the Obasanjo government came, they discovered that these monies are not sustainable. You have to look at the sustainability of that. There is a government in Nigeria.
One second, please. I must butt in.
He has proposed a salary minimum wage of about 70,000.
So, but we must butt in now. Okay. So sorry for butting in. Okay.
Following the inauguration of commercial operations of the Abuja Rail Mass Transit System by Mr. President and his grant of 6 months free train ride for all train commuters, train services have commenced in earnest since Thursday the 30th of May as follows. Train departs metro station for airport train station 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 3:30 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. daily. Departs airport train station for metro station 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 3:30 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. daily. Second train departs Edu train station for Bazangu train station 8:40 a.m., 10:40 a.m., 4:10 p.m. and 6:10 p.m. daily. Depart Bazangu train station for Edu train station 7:30 a.m., 9:30 a.m., 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. daily. For more information, visit our various train stations at Stadium, Kukuaba 1 and 2, Wupa and Basanjua, as well as Gwagwa, Dede and Kagini. Enjoy a world of safe, affordable and comfortable transportation system. Welcome on board. FCT Administration. Announcer.
At TVC News.
Okay, indeed, welcome back. And Kesandu is on the line. Thank you for holding on. Kesandu called in from Owerri. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Uncle.
Good morning, sir.
God bless Nigeria. I want to say I'm very happy with the last statement your guest made, that in an ideal situation, at least the minimum wage of Nigerian workers should be 250,000. Sir, let me tell you, it's not like Nigerians are not do not understand the process the president wants to bring or anything, but you also agree with me that if there is any sect of people in this world that are very patient, they are called Nigerians. But the problem is that most of the times we have lost confidence, implicit confidence in our leaders. You remember us just joined the strike. Why? Because of an agreement signed in 2009 that has not been fulfilled up to this moment. So if you were to be in the shoes of us, what will you believe? So I think it is now the duty and responsibility of Mr. President to show that, see, my modus operandi and that of my predecessors are different. But let me also come to this. When people talk about some governors not being able to pay 30,000, it baffles me tremendously. And the question is why? If it is not competence and wickedness, I don't see the reason any government or governor in Nigeria cannot pay the 30,000 minimum wage. And the question is, where are these funds going to? The siphon local government funds, Paris Club fund, and ecological fund, and name all the funds that federal government brings to the states. It is nothing to write home about. And so you also made mention of them not taking time, the 15 days and law. Let us not go to the law, because a governor that fails to pay salaries, pensions, and gratuity, I don't know the law that permits him to do that. So all I'm saying in effect is this. If people want us to actually have this conversation clearly with sincerity of purpose and mind, I think, Mr. President, senators, National Assembly members, political office holders, can we agree to that everybody in Nigeria will go home with the minimum wage? Let us agree. So the senator, nobody will go home with humongous salaries and pensions. You will not have that SUV you drive in the National Assembly. Everybody will stay. If you say 60,000 naira, let us come to 60,000 naira. So if a senator, let's say your level is now level 17, will pay you according to the minimum wage, you will now see that this man will not agree to this. So how can people who toil their lives all day and night to make sure that this country is working are asking for something, and what the government can always tell us is 60,000? Let me talk about you see, it is not unfortunate that we're suffering this thing, but my former governor, Ike Hakim, said something. He said, sacrifice a little, enjoy forever. If this is the sacrifice Nigerians are going to make for the government to do the needful, right, we are ready to make this sacrifice once and for all. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Kesandu, and indeed for holding on. Earlier, at the top of the program, you know, in explaining it, Labour would take it back to their organs, you know, the commitment that they got, and then sooner rather than later, they will call off the strike. In fact, some newspapers were optimistic and were hopeful that it was going to be called off today. You yourself mentioned that by the end of the day, isn't the end of the day too far away? Isn't the end of the day too far away? The end of the day takes us into after office hours. You know, maybe a lot of people are hoping that somewhere around noon, let the news break. Noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, that Labour has said, okay, as a result of the good faith shown by the federal government, and indeed, everybody has been praising President Tinubu's commitment to do more than 60,000, that they are calling off the strike as a reciprocal gesture. Were you cutting Labour some slack when you said that by the end of the day?
Yes.
There's no NEPA.
By the end of the day is that worst case scenario, probably by the end of the day. You know, there is no difference between 1, 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. because if they call the strike at 1 o'clock, there are no workers that will start coming to the office from their respective homes. Or people in the workers in the airport who are already at home, they will suddenly find their ways to the airport and you get flights.
In fact, sorry to interrupt you. I'm hearing that the strike has actually, as we speak, been suspended for 1 week. So that sort of follows in the line of the appeal I was making. There you have it, breaking news. Yeah. The strike has been suspended by Labour for 1 week so that we can... So Labour, you know, at least nobody will say that Labour didn't try there. They sort of... I was just saying it, that maybe Labour could show some good faith. What do you say to that? Just as we are going now. What do you say to that?
The suspension of the strike is consistent with what they agreed yesterday because part of the agreement, if you remember, is that the tripartite committee will be meeting every day for at least 1 week. So the assumption is that in 1 week of these continuous daily meetings, they should be able to arrive at the figure that the federal government is going to propose, which is above the 60,000, whatever figure above 60,000, and then they would also look at realities and see if it is something they can agree in the interim. But I will suggest, quite frankly, to the labor union, and this thing happens all over the world, once you come into the negotiating table, your best skill is don't walk away without something in your hand. So if government has shifted its position from A to B, even if your intention is to go to Z, accept the A to B and give government, buy time with it, so that payment system, because whatever you agree with the government will now be activated in the payment system. So you can be sure that while this negotiation is ongoing, at least your people have been able to go up from probably 30, 35 to probably 65, 62, 68, or 70.
All right, then.
So that money keeps going in, even if the next negotiation lasts for 1 year. But when you come in foolishly and sheepishly, I permit me for the use of those words and with apology, and you said it is all or nothing, and you go away, remember, your own workers will continue to wallow in derision because you're walking away without getting the little you can get at the moment will not help in ameliorating the hardship. But if, for example, it is 35, and then you come and federal government say we can only give 65, I'm just giving a scenario. If you accept it, you have a value that is almost 100% of what has been on ground before. So if the next negotiation lasts for 1 year or 6 months, you are sure that your workers have had an increase of 100% while you look to a further increase. It is called wisdom. And he who lacks wisdom...
Well, Dr. Bwala, we're going to have to leave it here. Indeed, we're going to have to leave it here. Cheering news that Labour has said that that it is suspended the strike for a week. That gives people a lot more room to negotiate. We have seen the example of how much the country must have lost in just yesterday. So thank God that it's not going on much longer than today. So around midday today, Labour has lifted the strike and has decided to suspend it for 1 week. So I want to thank you very much, Dr. Daniel Bwala, lawyer and public affairs analyst, for coming on our program today. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.